they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so without further ado, let's see who's in here. Okay, Lady Painter, 504 Nola, Yvette, Desmond. All right, let's get into it. Poetical Winds, Chili Willie from Philly. Okay, I see you, Reggie, Pretty Wings, Jay Parrish, We the People, Soul Sister, Flawless Honey, Leon, Claudette. All right, Love Christy. All right, Tan Yang. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Bronze Flat Power God, Dark Tube, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it now. Before we get started, as per usual, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Everybody hit that like button, double check to make sure that you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel, especially if you have not been receiving the notifications. And also, if you missed the broadcast last night, please make sure you catch that at your leisure because tonight we'll be doing part 2 and you don't want to be out of the loop, okay?
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so now let's get ready to get into it. Trump is still out here telling lies, as per usual. Okay, that's not going to change from the looks of it. So he lied and said that his special envoy, which is Steve Witkoff, basically had spoken to Iran's prime minister or foreign minister. Okay, and which that is Abbas Harakji. Now, only to get his bubble burst, okay, when the foreign minister came out and said that that absolutely didn't happen. Okay, so the lies just keep being spewed. Trump's special envoy and Iran's foreign minister talked for the first time since the war began. That's what was reported by Axios. And then, like I said, the foreign minister says, my last contact with Mr. Witkoff was prior to his employer's decision to kill diplomacy with another illegal military attack on Iran. Any claim to the contrary appears geared solely to mislead oil traders and the public. Now, let me just tell you, that's absolutely right. The reason Trump is telling that lie, because he knows that many people are very concerned. All of these different countries and leaders are concerned about the crisis that's going to ensue if this war continues, and likely it will. So with that all being said, you know, the global economy and everything, Trump's just trying to make it more palpable for people to deal with. And also, he can't stand the public scrutiny, because we all know that malignant narcissists like Trump, they cannot stand to be criticized. They hate it. Okay, and so they'll do anything, tell all kinds of lies and whatnot just to get out of it. So that's what the basis is here. He's trying to act as though they're having talks, like maybe they're going to come to some type of agreement, like maybe they're going to be able to work out a deal. But that's not the case, because how many times do they have to say it? Iran has said they don't trust Trump. When they were sitting down to negotiate with him in the first place, he lied and went back and attacked them. Okay, so that deal is done. That talk is over. It's not happening. So from now on, during this war, whenever Donald Trump comes and says that he's had talks with them, or someone in his camps had talks with them, we should never believe any of it until we get confirmation from the source. Okay, because he's just a liar who lies. So with that all being said, now, and he's not the only one lying. Okay, he's not the only one lying. So are the rest of his administration. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this clip of him telling more lies, as per usual.
The U.S. has destroyed all of Iran's mine-laying ships. Why can't the U.S. just immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we could, but it takes two to tango. We have to get people to take their billion-dollar ship and you know, drive it up. If when Pepe has his big sugar ships coming around and they cost $1 billion, and we say, I think it's okay now, Pepe, take your ship, drive it through the Strait of Hormuz. He may say, let me wait a little while, because it takes ship owners, and you know, these ships are very expensive. They can cost up to $2 billion. So they don't want to take a chance that, gee, I think you'll be okay. They got to know it. So they don't have to set, you know, we don't know if they even set any mines. But the thought that they may have is enough to.
Did y'all hear this? So let's just break this on down real quick. Okay, so the lies are all he's telling. Now, if you were listening, I know that you heard the reporter ask him, let's start from the beginning and then we go to the end. Okay, because that's where the lie is. Now, in the beginning, the reporter asked him, if you all have, you know, gotten rid of all of the mines that they laid, if you've gotten rid of all of that, why can't the U.S. just go in and take Hormuz? Now, the last thing Trump said was, we don't know if they ever even laid mines, but the fact that they may have, you already said that you destroyed the mines. You already said you got rid of them. Do y'all hear the lies? Do y'all hear the lies? Now, with that all being said, another thing that's very important for us to pay attention to is he's pretty much told us that he's afraid. He says that, you know, they may have minds. And then at the end, he says they doesn't, or they don't, or they don't know. But here's the thing. So he's basically saying the reason they're not going in there and taking over the Strait of Hormuz is because they're scared, because they may have mines over there. We've seen what those mines have done. They may still have some, and we don't want to go over there. Plus, the ship costs billions of dollars. Okay? So if I send them over there and they all get killed, blown up because of the mines, then I'm going to look even more stupid, and more of my lies will be exposed for the MAGA minions who still are believing, because everybody else already knows he's lying. That's just facts. Okay, the rest of us aren't that stupid. So with that all being said, Trump is basically saying that he's scared. Okay? But I thought you were so big and bad though, Trump. All right, I thought you said you destroyed 100% of their Navy, dismantle their aircraft defenses. I thought you said you did all of that and they were down to 95%, or 95% of their missiles were gone. Another 90% of the drones were gone. Isn't that what he said? But now he wants to sit here claiming, he darn near claimed a victory. Do you all remember days ago when he said we really already won? That's what he literally said. Now, he's talking about these other people need to go over there. These other countries need to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. Acting like yesterday was a piece of cake. Why don't y'all just go on and do it? What are you waiting on? But he's not willing to send people over there to do it because, first of all, he knows he's been lying. Okay, he knows that they do not want that to happen because those people will end up dead. Okay, more likely than not. They absolutely have laid mines. We've seen the footage. Okay, we've seen the damage that's been done. There's been at least 13 ships, okay, that have suffered damage. So what is he talking about? This man's a whole liar, but let's let him cook. Here's another clip.
Situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us.
You know those blue.
So I want you to pay attention. Now that is the clip that I showed you days ago when I told you that he basically said that Steve Witkoff, the envoy that just sat up here, hold on, I didn't even play his clip yet. Hold on, let's play his clip first, and then I'll tell you what's going on.
This offensive missile shield that Iran had to, in other words, protect the nuclear effort, that and what it's doing, the havoc that it's raising out there with Middle Eastern countries. I mean, what they're doing is basically degrading any support they had in the region has been substantially degraded, because nobody wants them as a neighbor. Who would want this sort of?
So do you really think they want the United States as a neighbor with Trump at the wheel? Okay, now that was Steve Witkoff, who Trump says lied and said that he spoke to the foreign minister of Iran. And now we know that wasn't true. But I want you to pay attention, because you just heard the way he was talking about Iran and saying no one wants them to be their neighbors and all of this. Now, this is the same man that he claims told him that Iran was going to attack them within 10 days or something like that. He and Jared Kushner. Because he claims that Steve and Jared Kushner went over to make negotiation deals with Iran. First of all, why would you send them? Again, let us remember that Jared Kushner is no politician. He's not some trained negotiator. Okay, anything they did or said, if they in fact even went over there, was at their own behest. Trump's an idiot. Does he not know that he's being used? Okay, because here's the thing. It's obvious to us that he's being used, but Trump is such a narcissist. They always think they're the smartest person in the room when everyone else knows they're the dumbest. So with that all being said, he doesn't seem to realize that he's been used by Bibi's people. Okay, they started this war. They wanted the U.S. involved, and now here we go. And Trump's sitting here trying to make it like everything's just peaches and cream. At the end of the day, this is just all so ridiculous, okay? All so ridiculous. And here's another thing. They don't want people to know that Bibi is dead, because I absolutely believe he's dead at this point. Now they came out just a little while ago with yet another video of Bibi, supposedly. Now, there's a very good reason they would want to hide the fact that this man is dead. Not just so Iran can't get bragging rights and say they took him out. No, the real reason, beloveds, that they do not want us to know that Bibi is dead is because then what the hell is this war being fought for? Because that's the one that put it in Trump's head to get out there and fight with them. Okay? Trump's already given his allegiance to these people. We've heard him all but say it. He also said that the reason they were fighting this war, he said it days ago, is because of a very good ally that they have over in the Middle East. Isn't that what he said? That was being threatened or something like that, okay? Please pay attention. Tanya Yang says, speaking of drones, Queen, did you hear about the 4 missing advanced? Yes, I spoke about that days ago when it first happened, beloved. I spoke about that days ago. And I don't believe those drones were stolen. I believe it's all cap. Now, with that all being said, I believe it's all cap, like I told you all days ago. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's continue, because I absolutely cannot with this idiot named Trump. And let me just say this. So another thing that I've noticed that Trump has been doing, now you all may remember that I pointed out to you in a picture of Trump and Pete Keg's breath, and someone else, maybe Marco Rubio. But remember the picture that I told you all had the map of Operation Epic Fury, which according to sources, Iran says it should be called Operation Epic Fear, because he says they're scared. He says Trump is scared, and I absolutely agree. Okay, I absolutely agree. Queen, I'm off topic. Did you hear that Caddy was caught on fire? Who is Caddy or Katie? I don't even know who that is, beloved. But so with that all being said, I find it all so interesting, okay? Now, let's go to the next clip, because Trump is just out here telling all kinds of nefarious lies. And let me show you this picture, because what he was trying to do is he was trying to, when that picture, they kept showing it. Remember, I told you twice how they had the map with all of their military checkpoints, with their targets and all of that listed on it. They're too stupid and such bumbling idiots. They didn't even notice that they were exposing themselves. Okay? But the reason they kept posting that picture is because Trump has been trying to recreate that iconic picture of President Barack Obama in the Situation Room. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. I forgot to tell you all that days ago. This is what he was trying to recreate, because this has been deemed as an iconic picture. So Trump tried to first recreate it back in 2019 when he was first in office. There he goes. He gave it a pretty good shot, except for everybody in the room was idiots. Okay, they had to be listening to him. And then even more recently, here he is. Okay, with Rubio. Look at him, trying to look so serious and stern. And he posted this himself, okay, on his Truth Social. He wanted to make sure everybody saw it. I just thought I'd throw that out there so you all know, okay, just how ridiculous this fool is. So with that all being said, let's continue. Because now they're saying Israel has reported, come out boasting and bragging, and they have said, I don't know if this is true or not, because we know that they lied just as well as Trump. They say that Ali Larijani, who is the top Iranian security official, works with IRGC. They've claimed that they killed him in an overnight strike. Okay, but then since I posted this about 10 or 15 minutes ago, it's come out and they're saying that that's not true and that the man has written a handwritten letter. Now, I'm not going to say that's true either because a handwritten letter is not evidence to me. Okay? Maybe they should start releasing videos and not AI.
Made from both the sides right after Israel claimed that Ali Larijani has been killed and eliminated in the strikes. We're looking at his handle, in fact, on X, posting a statement, which is a handwritten statement by Ali Larijani himself. So essentially signaling that the leader has not been killed in the strikes conducted overnight by Israel. So we're looking at claims and counterclaims as the war escalates on day 18 of the conflict. Earlier, it was a statement issued by the defense minister of Israel saying that Ali Larijani, the national security chief of Iran, has now been eliminated in the strikes which were conducted overnight. There were reports that he was present at the IRGC headquarters, which was struck in the Israeli strikes. But now we're looking at a statement being posted from his handle on X. It's a handwritten note posted, in fact, on a social media handle X. All right, viewers, you're also being joined by Lieutenant General Asit, a mystery defense expert. Thank you, Lieutenant General, for joining us on Republic. So I want to ask you, there were claims made by Israel that the National Security Chief of Iran, Ali Larijani, has been eliminated in the strikes. And now we're looking his handle, in fact, on X, posting a handwritten note talking about the martyrdom of Iranian and Navy sailors. How do you look at these developments that are now coming to light, sir?
Well, Israel has made the claims of having neutralized not only Ali Larijani, who has been the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, but also having neutralized the chief of the Basij militia, which is their internal security force.
Right, sir.
Well, these are claims made by Israelis. As yet, this has not been acknowledged or confirmed by Iran, and there is no a confirmed definite indication of Larijani having been neutralized. But if he is actually neutralized, it will be one more top leader, having been decapitated. But does that lead to a strategic gain? That is the major question.
Right, sir. If these rumors are found to be true, it's not just another leader, another top Iranian leader, but also somebody who's been closely working with IRGC and also the newly elected supreme leader.
Absolutely. Larijani has been the linchpin of the response of the IRGC and response of the Iranian regime once the top leadership was neutralized on that first strike on 28th February. While formally Mujtaba Khamenei has been appointed as the supreme leader, but the person controlling all the activities and response of Iran is largely Ali Larijani. He's 67 years old. He's had various appointments. He's highly, very, very experienced and
Okay, I'm going to the next. I don't want to be on here all day, so I'm going to be cutting these videos short. Some of them are just too long. With that all being said, Lisa says Trump has to be a new type of stupid to think he's going to be the country that has been around for 10,000 years. Shaking my head. Well, he absolutely is stupid, beloved. Okay, he's all kinds of stupid, if you ask me. Okay, and absolutely. Thank you for your contribution to the channel, your insight into the topic. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so Yvette, someone said you're talking about Katy Perry. No, I hadn't heard anything about Katy Perry getting burned or getting set on fire or whatever. And I wouldn't really care either way because I don't deal with Katy Perry, don't listen to Katy Perry, don't have any interest in Katy Perry. And if I saw an article said anything about Katy Perry, I wouldn't even read it. Okay, so just not interested. All right, so with that all being said, but thank you for your question. Okay, so Israeli defense minister, let's go to this next report.
Minister now confirms that Iran's top security official, Ali Larijani, has been killed in an overnight strike in Tehran. He was the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. We've got CNN's Aaron Lieberman joining us from Tel Aviv. Ali Larijani was very important after the killing of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now we've heard news and confirmation from the Israelis that he has been killed in that strike in Tehran. How does this degrade Iran's decision makers and the ability to, keep on making the decisions that we've been seeing and frankly keep the regime intact?
Ali Larijani was considered one of the most key decision makers, if not the primary decision maker in Iran right now, crucially on security issues, but on other issues as well. He was also one of the most vocal and visible members of Iran's leadership. And that put him not only right at the top of the decision-making power in the country, but also right at the top of Israel's target list. We saw that when we learned a short time ago that Israel had targeted Ali Larijani in a strike in Tehran on Monday night. And now we see the statement from Defense Minister Israel Katz that Larijani has been killed in that strike, according to an Israeli assessment.
Okay, so I still need confirmation because one group is saying something and the other saying another. This has to be, in my opinion, this has to be the most confusing war, okay, that has happened in my lifetime. And I'm so serious. And here's the thing. Speaking of wars, my Lord, I was doing research last night, and when I tell you all, beloveds, that it has come out, and I'm not going to say this is true, but there is some information where they're now saying that Pearl Harbor was a whole false flag. Now, I'm still researching this, but they had some pretty nefarious information, okay? I'm like, what world are we living in? This is a whole, mind screw, okay? This is all so crazy. But anyway, it's absolutely deplorable. Now, with that having been said, let's go to this clip because they're talking about how Trump's allies, okay, have turned their back on him, reported just an hour ago from CBS. Let's get into it.
In other news, Georgia residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Georgia resident.
Let's get the latest now on the war in Iran. President Trump faces strong pushback from his U.S. allies, who he has asked to help protect oil tankers in the region. Now, Iran has blocked most international shipping from the vital Strait of Hormuz. It accounts for about 20% of global oil supplies. Nancy Cordes is at the White House with the latest. Nancy, good morning to you. Things are getting very messy.
They sure are, Gail. President Trump is insisting that some foreign leaders have told him that they are on board with helping here, but he didn't identify them. And we do know that several countries have already said publicly that they do not want to get dragged into this war.
What does surprise me is that they're not eager to help.
President Trump put out an all-call Monday, pressuring NATO allies and China for military assistance to reopen what is suddenly the world's most dangerous waterway, the Strait of Hormuz.
We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait.
The reaction was not encouraging.
This is not Europe's war.
The EU turned him down. So did Australia. The Chinese and the Japanese were non-committal. And Germany's chancellor said, quote, "We are unaware of any plan as to how such an operation could even succeed." That's because as the war rages on, Iran has the strait in a stranglehold, threatening to attack any oil tanker that tries to pass through the 21-mile-wide bottleneck.
Now, I know you all saw those explosions, right? Okay, caused by the mines that they have laid. Now, Trump sat there and said that they got rid of the mines, like they did a sweep or whatever. They didn't do any damn thing. And then comes back and hits us with, well, we don't know if they have mines. They say they do, but we don't really know. So shut your lying self up, okay? Just cut it all out. But let's continue.
A tanker registered in Thailand called Iran's bluff last week. It did not go well. Why should other countries that weren't consulted about this war, that aren't involved in this war, now put their troops in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz?
Because these other countries are benefiting greatly from the United States military taking out the threat of Iran.
The U.S. may not get much oil from the Gulf, but it suffers all the same when global oil prices rise. The average U.S. cost of a gallon of gas is up 81 cents since the war started. The UK's Prime Minister said he doesn't want to be drawn into a wider war, but said he is working with NATO allies to try to find a resolution.
Ending the war is the quickest way to reduce the cost of living.
President Trump said yesterday he wants to know if China is going to help him before he takes a planned trip there to meet with President Xi in 2 weeks. Trump also shared some personal news that his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, has been diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. He said she's going to begin treatment, but also that she plans to stay on the job nearly full-time. Vlad?
All right, Nancy, we're wishing her well. Thank you very much.
I don't know why he's telling us about Susie Wild. Who really gives a shit about him or any of the people that he deals with? Because I sure as hell don't. Okay, with that all being said, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. Now with that all being said, let me just say this. Moderators, are y'all paying attention? Because there was a troll in the chat. Okay, and then I was alerted of the troll. All right, are y'all paying attention? Poetical Wind said, I love your Trump impersonation, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Are y'all paying attention, moderators? Okay. So anyway, with that all been said, yeah, Molly was in here talking real greasy. Talking about my black arse needs to be praising Trump and giving him the glory. Girl, sit down somewhere, honey. I wish I would. I wish I would. I hate Trump with everything in me. And I hate you too for loving Trump. And I hate anybody else that loves Trump. F Trump. And if you want to F Trump, F MAGA. And if you want to be down with Trump and MAGA, then F you too. How about that? Okay? How about that? Now, y'all look out for these trolls. Yeah, that's what they said. Nice M10K. Giving him the glory. Honey, I'm going to give him the business. That's what I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him that work. Okay? That's what I'm going to give him. So please stay tuned. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. You all do know that the family of the airman that lost his life, one of the families, they really went in on Trump. You know, they said this war was uncalled for. And I find that interesting because didn't Trump lie and say, didn't he lie and say that he spoke to the families of the dead soldiers and that all of them told him, keep doing it, keep doing what you're doing, don't stop? Said they all were in agreement with him. Let me tell you something, that'll never be the case with black people with sense. Okay, now I can't say anything about the people who look like him because some of those people are so fooled and brainwashed by Trump and members of his MAGA cult minions that they absolutely will sacrifice their sons and daughters. I saw a video, and I do believe I have it to show to you later, where a family got a call from Trump about their lost loved one, and they seemed more excited about the fact that he called them and invited them to the White House than they cared about their family member dying. Make that make sense. These people are sick. They are literally sick, okay? I wish Trump had taken every one of his MAGA cult members to the war, okay? I wish he'd sent them all over there to the war because if we were lucky, many of them would not come back. He should have sent them to the war. They're the ones that are here for it. It's so funny that the people sitting here on the sidelines cheering and applauding him for an unnecessary war, for a futile war, a proxy war, a quagmire, for a gratuitous war, an Epstein war. None of them would dare go and fight. That's what they wouldn't do. They're all just sit around on the internet, trolling people, laughing, getting mad at those of us who call out the truth, and sipping their Kool-Aid. Okay? Anyway, let's continue, because family of U.S. airmen killed blast Trump for this uncalled war. Let's talk about it.
We didn't need to be in this war. You know, this is uncalled for. And this is what we get.
The family of Tyler Simmons tells me the news still feels unreal. They're filled with immense sadness and grief that their beloved pilot is gone, but also anger, feeling that his death could have been prevented.
It's just not fair. It's not fair at all.
But alongside their grief, Simmons' family is making a plea, calling on the United States to stop the war with Iran.
This could have been prevented. We didn't need to be in this war. You know, this is uncalled for. And this is what we get.
Families are suffering right now. Not only our family, but there are other families that's lost loved ones. And just to create a war because you want to create a war, it's not right. It is not right.
The crash brought the total number of U.S. service members killed since the conflict began to 13. Local for you, I'm Lexi Lepoff, NBC4.
So, you know, it's very sad that these people have to fight and die for a country that they don't even live in, a country that they never pledged an allegiance to. Okay, because they're not dying for the United States, they're dying for Israel. That's a fact. Now, Miss Tree says, yup, with Rubio leading with them shoes. Okay, them big ass shoes. Honey, is he serious? Is he serious? Okay, thank you for insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, let me say this. Yvette asked me about Katy Perry, and I kind of snapped. Here's the thing. I don't like Katy Perry and don't give a crap about her, because this is the same person who started off as a Christian gospel singer, and then next thing you know, she's talking about eating human flesh. So when I hear people talking like that, I automatically think that they had something to do with what went on in the Epstein files, whether their name's in there or not. At the end of the day, she literally talked about eating human flesh. Do y'all remember that? Yes, I have no love for her. I don't care if she burned all the way up. I don't care what happened to her. I just don't. Now, let me say this about this war, though. That's right. So said Katy Perry is not a good person. She darn sure isn't. Now, listen here. Here's the thing that I feel is going to happen with this whole war in Iran. It's going to be the same scenario with Vietnam, and hopefully it won't last as long, I'm hoping. But it's just going to be a lost cause. Okay, because remember, you know, the United States, they pulled out. Okay, they pulled out of the war in Vietnam, and they did so. They withdrew because they knew they were losing. Okay, they knew they were losing. There was massive protest against it. Okay, there was numerous casualties. So many of our soldiers died, disfigured, disabled, and all of that, only for them to leave defeated. Okay, it was basically a political defeat, if you ask me. So with that all being said, here we're going to have the same thing. We're going to have the same thing. Please pay attention. Okay, with that all being said, let's continue. This is an airman who speaks out about what's going on with the war, I think. I sent a lot of clips to my email. I'm not exactly sure.
Lost 3 exceptional airmen in a tragic KC-135 crash in Iraq, and our hearts are extremely heavy.
Absolutely heartbreaking. This young man at the top looks like he's only about 20 years old, 20 to 25 years old. A darn shame. A darn shame. Condolences to their
And their
family,
loss
friends,
is
and loved
deeply
ones.
felt across the 121st Air Refueling Wing and the entire Ohio National Guard. We lost 3 exceptional airmen.
That is heartbreaking to watch. I really feel so sorry for the families of these soldiers who are losing their lives over nothing. Okay? I literally hate Trump. I literally hate that man. I really do. He's the cause of all of this. Him and Satan Yahoo. And now Satan Yahoo's going to hell, okay, to be with his father. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
Class Corey Hicks says he's lucky to be alive. The Minnesota native is recovering from injuries suffered in an Iranian drone attack in Kuwait that killed 6 U.S. service members.
I remember turning my head to the left and I seen the nose of that drone pop through. And as soon as it did, I knew what it was. It was either a missile or a drone. So I turned to my right, and that's when it blew up and just blew the whole building apart. Life is precious. Life is short. You never know when you're going to be put in a situation like we were in.
I'll tell you one thing. If Iran didn't have nuclear capabilities before, they're darn sure going to have them now. Okay? They're darn sure going to have them now. Please pay attention. Okay? Because that's the only way it seems that you can avoid these sort of things happening, these attacks being launched on you. Now, they don't have a problem with Bibi's people having nuclear weapons and not even being fully in the know of exactly what they have going on because they don't share their information. Yvette says, Queen, that's heartbreaking, like you said. It is, beloved. Okay, it absolutely is. Now, with that all being said, and speaking of MAGA and Trump, let's go to the video that I did, the TikTok that I did about them yesterday. Okay, Cassandra said, I hate him too, Queen. Oh, right, absolutely. I think most of America does, to be honest, beloved. Some of them may not come out and say it, but I absolutely think they do. Nice M10K said, Trump literally just made the Iran situation more dangerous. Exactly. Jay Gray says, Queen, China and Russia will give them to Iran. You know what? Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video because here's the thing. MAGA has been talking trash, trying to blame the Democrats. I want y'all to pay attention. They will not hold the devil in chief responsible for anything. They do nothing but make excuses and try to act like the rest of us are just lying, making things up. You wouldn't believe, well, I'm sure you would believe, some of the ignorant things that they say online. And I go in on some of them when I feel like it, but it's too many of them to count, and they're just too ignorant for words, okay? They're just too ignorant for words. And like my grandmother used to say, when you argue with a fool, someone passing by may not know the difference. Okay, so why even bother? Okay, why even bother? But I just had to do this video because they're such idiots. And they were quite frankly getting on my nerves with the BS, trying to blame the Democrats for not lowering the flags for the dead soldiers. I want y'all to pay attention. They're mad at Democrats for not lowering the flags in every state. But isn't Trump the one that got the soldiers killed in the first place? MAGA, you idiots. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Okay, so I just want to talk about how MAGA, Trump supporters, they're usually upset about something, but they're usually upset about the wrong thing, in my opinion. And then they're also usually mad at the wrong people or person because usually it's something that Trump has directly done himself, but they want to blame other people, specifically the Democrats. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, some of them are complaining at this point because they're upset that the flags weren't lowered to half staff in all of the states for the service members who've passed away during this whole war with Iran. Well, I find that interesting because you see, that's up to the governors of every state. The governors are the ones who dictate when the flags will be lowered, and they usually have it done when a service member from their own state has passed away. You know, for example, the 6 service members who died in the crash over the western part of Iraq when they were in the refueling aircraft. Well, 3 of those service members are from Ohio, and so they have the flags lowered, and they'll stay lowered for 30 days. Okay, up until the sunset on the days of their funeral. Okay, so that's usually how it works. But here's the thing: the president could also order all of the states to have the flags lowered, and Trump didn't bother to do that, did he? And so, shouldn't they be upset about Trump if that's the grievance, if that's the hill they want to die on? Shouldn't they be upset with him instead of the states and the Democrats specifically? Okay, it's their own president, because you know what he did do? He lowered the flags. He ordered them to be lowered when Charlie Kirk passed away. Okay, and Charlie Kirk was not in the military. Okay, please pay attention. And also, I think it's important to note that he didn't have the flags lowered when Representative Melissa Hartman died either. Okay, when she lost her life, he didn't have them lowered. And also, he was upset when the flags were lowered for President Carter, okay, who had passed away. He was upset because he was about to take office, and those flags were still lowered for President Carter. I just thought I'd throw that in, okay, in case you all missed it. Please pay attention. You know what else they didn't get upset about? Is the fact that Trump wore a baseball cap when he went to the dignified transfer for the service members who did lose their lives. And also the fact that he used a picture from the dignified transfer, okay, in a promotional ad for a fundraiser where he's grifting, okay, as per usual, when he sent out emails, okay, trying to get people to become members and all of that. Yeah, he used the picture from that. So they didn't seem to mind that. I'm just saying, but they're always looking and reaching and trying to make up an excuse to be mad at the Democrats. Okay, please make it all make sense. And I'm sure they also didn't get upset with Fox News, who spews a lot of propaganda, in my opinion. Okay, when Trump said fake news, he should have been talking about them if he wasn't. But here's the thing: I guess fake news is okay when it benefits him, right? But one thing that I find interesting is that they didn't seem to complain about that either when Fox News switched out the clips of him at the dignified transfer to try to hide the fact that he disrespectfully wore a baseball cap, and they used old footage. Please pay attention. Okay. They didn't have a problem with him about anything. Now, Nice M10K says, in the case of President Carter, it's actually in the law for the flag to be lowered for 30 days when a president passes. Yeah, exactly. That's just the commonplace thing to do. But Trump, he's probably changed that now since he's in office, okay? He's probably changed all of that now. Okay, so now Eco says the Democrats are thieves. Okay, and your point is? What is your point to say that the Democrats are thieves? Okay, are you MAGA? Because here's the reason, here's the thing. No matter what you can say or do say or anyone can say about the Democrats, Trump's the one that has us in this war. Trump's the one costing the lives of soldiers. Trump is the one that tried to hide and lie about the Epstein files. He's the one in the Epstein files over 1 million times. So let's not talk about the Democrats being thieves, because if you are going to talk about it, let's also talk about Trump being a thief. Let's talk about how he went over there and had Maduro snatched up and abducted and then stole their oil. Yeah, he stole it. That's what he did. Congress didn't approve him to go over there and do any of it, so he stole it. Let's also talk about how he has the money from the sale of those people's oil going to a private account for him. Okay, let's talk about how he steals our tax dollars. Okay, now if we want to talk about thieves, I think you should start at the top and then work your way down. Okay, now I'm not trying to go in on you, but when people say things that are absolutely obtuse as it pertains to the situation that we're currently in, I just have to let you know that that is obtuse. And that is basically irrelevant at this point, because it sounds like you're trying to deflect or gaslight or take away from the conversation about Trump. And guess what? You're not going to do it. Okay? You're not going to do it because Trump's going to get this work. I don't care who don't like it. Okay? I don't care who doesn't like it. Now, unless you're MAGA, let's all stick to the topic at hand. And that is Trump. Okay? That's Trump. Now, let me continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. They say Trump had a whole meltdown after he found out the allies weren't going to help his dumb arse. He also threatened NATO, by the way. Hold on, let me get this clip cued. Here we go.
But we're doing very well with respect to that whole situation in Iran. We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait. And I think we're getting good response. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's great too. But remember, like as an example, in many cases, the NATO countries, we're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. As many, it's got an ocean in between us. Doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. And be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. That, by comparison, is a small. It's small because Iran has very little firepower left.
They have very little firepower left, but yet you're scared as hell to send your own people over there. Okay, sit down somewhere. Talking about a little endeavor. If it's just a little endeavor, I'm sorry, why do you need help from other nations? Okay? Trump is scared as hell. I want y'all to pay attention. He's scared as hell. He's not necessarily scared out of fear for the soldiers' lives. What he's scared of is the repercussions, the backlash, the criticism that he's going to get. Okay? The more of these soldiers that die. That's why he doesn't want to send that ship over there. He's lied so much. He knows that dare he send the U.S. soldiers over there to the Strait of Hormuz and they get killed, the ships get blown up. Well, he already knows how that's going to play out for him. Okay? He's just a lying dog. That's what he is, a whole lying dog. Please pay attention.
Their missiles are down to a low number. You see, they're shooting very few of them. You know why? Because they don't have very many of them. And because we've decimated their manufacturing capability.
Yeah. He said they decimated their manufacturing capabilities. Well, he's not lying about that because their foreign minister did say yesterday that the stuff was in rubble. He did say that it was in rubble. He said that basically, if they want to, they can go and dig it out of the rubble, but they haven't decided to do that as of yet. They could do it at a later time. So with that all being said, Trump, please sit down somewhere. They're likely still going to have nuclear weaponry after this is all over, more so now that they know how low down, nefarious, and what a, backstabber you are. Okay? That's what it is. Okay, please pay attention. Eco says, I'm not for neither of them, Queen. Okay, that's fair. Now, with that all being said, listen, here are some of the headlines. Very bad future. Trump threatens NATO as country. Hold on. What is this? This is from the India Times. Hold on. This looks like a misprint. Anyway, we're going to go to this clip because this came out 4 hours ago. Basically, they said it's a very bad future for Trump, and NATO has basically refused to join. Okay, then there's another headline that says, Trump threatens NATO's future as UK, Germany rule out intervention. Ha! Nobody wants to help us. Isn't this sad for us and the soldiers? Okay. Another one says, with Iran still in control of Hormuz, Trump threatens NATO and oil hits $106 per barrel. This is absolutely ridiculous. Trump demands NATO and China police the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they aren't joining. Trump threatens NATO over Strait of Hormuz. Will they send ships? No. Okay. Anyway, this is all just a hot mess that Trump has gotten us all into. And nobody asked for this. We didn't ask for prices to go up. Many people were already struggling. Okay, make it make a bit of sense. Anywho, let me go to one of the clips of this footage. Trump threatens NATO allies. Okay, here we go. All this tough talk from a whole All this talk tough from a whole idiot. Reggie said the struggle is real. It absolutely is, beloved. Okay, Sosa said Trump's destroying America's economy. Yes, absolutely he is. Let me just say this to you all before this video gets started. Here's the thing, beloveds. Here's the thing we all should be concerned about. You see, Bibi's people want to turn the United States into 1945 Germany. That's my opinion. Okay, they already have ICE over here, and some of those ICE soldiers, I'm not even gonna call them soldiers, those ICE agents, minions, whatever you want to call them, I do believe that some of them are Bibi's people. And even if they aren't, they're carrying out the same tactics as his people carried out over there in Gaza. Okay, that's what it's all given. That's what it's all given. And here's the thing. The way they're making people put on red wristbands is just like how the Yahtzees made Bibi's people back in the day put on those yellow stars. Okay? The way they're snatching up people without warrants and taking people to concentration camps is the same thing that happened back then. I want you all to pay attention. These people, if we're not careful, and if we don't stand up for ourselves and speak out, that's why they want to censor us. If we don't stand up for ourselves and speak out, we're going to find ourselves in the worst debacle that I promise you could ever imagine yourselves being in, people. Okay? I promise you that. Now, with that all being said, Jay Great says, Queen, we're witnessing the slow demolition of the world's economy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nice M10K says, reminder that DHS is still partially shut down. Right. Thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this report right here. Okay. Where Trump's threatening NATO. Like, sit down somewhere, Trump.
Now, Zinette de la Cutera in Jerusalem. Peter Baker is the New York Times chief White House correspondent and an MS Now contributor. And retired Army Colonel Jack Jacobs is a Medal of Honor recipient and an MS Now military analyst. Peter, so publicly, obviously no panic from the White House about the situation with oil and gas, but what are you hearing behind the scenes?
Well, obviously they're concerned. This has been a priority for the president since he took office again. Remember, he came into office promising to lower gas prices. At the State of the Union address just a few days before launching the attack on Iran, he bragged about gas prices coming down. It's central to his identity as an economic president. Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, very focused on the price of gas. Well, their messaging, of course, is this too shall pass. We will get past this moment that when the war, part of the wars, comes to an end, which presumably will be in the next few weeks. At some point, the oil supplies will return to normal, and we'll get prices back down to something manageable. Americans just have to swallow it for now. Whether that's the case or not, it's not a very satisfying answer if you're currently going to the gas station, and it's not particularly satisfying Republicans on the Hill who are worried about their political prospects in the fall. It is still March. A lot can happen between now and November, and it's very possible gas prices could return to normal soon enough, but it's a major worry for the White House and for the Republican Party.
So, Colonel, when you consider that this reporting, Trump told about the risk for the Strait of Hormuz, but he went ahead anyway. Was there anything the military could have done differently to prepare, especially given that the chairman believed something completely different?
The short answer is no. The United States would have to move almost all of its assets into the region, would have to prepare with pre-strikes the entire area at the Straits in order to preclude any attacks on ships going through, but more significantly, escorts going through. It's interesting to note that despite the threats from the White House itself is not sending escorts to bring shipping through the Straits. Our European allies have, for quite some time, perceived that the United States is an unreliable ally. And so Trump's threats about NATO are probably falling on deaf ears, but it would take an enormous amount of military strength in preparation before the attacks on Iran to make the Straits of Hormuz safe for shipping.
It does seem, Peter, obviously, for the countries that I mentioned, 4 of them already, that these threats are falling on deaf ears. The president wants them to join essentially a coalition that he didn't bother to build before the war started. So can you explain why these threats now? Does the White House think that they will actually work?
Well, look, I think you're right to point out their point. The point of view of the allies is you didn't consult us before starting this war. So why suddenly should we be the ones to bear the burden of something that you did without our, involvement? The United States, you, Trump, got us into this mess, and it's your job to get us out. So that's their point of view. And you can see, obviously, from the Trump point of view, it's different. It's like, you're supposed to be our allies. We need you, and we're ready to bring you in. For Trump, it's never been satisfying, these alliances. He's never been a believer these alliances benefit the United States. He has always been a skeptic of them. He has tried to blow up NATO before. He's almost withdrawn from NATO before. In some ways, he has undermined NATO already by saying repeatedly that he doesn't believe the United States should have to defend NATO allies that don't spend enough on their own militaries, even if the treaty that formed the alliance in the first place says that an attack on one is an attack on all. So this will confirm for him that allies aren't helpful, that they're not worth it, and it will probably accelerate the way he views, the decoupling of the United States from its traditional friends.
Nobody cares what Trump thinks. He's a whole idiot. And here's the thing. He's talking about this is going to solidify basically the way Trump views them. But what about the way they view him? They know that he's a backstabber, that he sat there and talked all this trash about them, threw them under the bus, talked as much trash as he could, demeaning these people, saying they're basically useless. But now they're supposed to come to his rescue. He sounds like the idiot that he is, okay? He sounds like the idiot that he is, and I hope and pray that he has the day that he deserves. Now, Nice M10K says, also very serious, SAVE Act could pass Congress. Yeah, hopefully, right now, the House Republicans have amped up their pressure on the Senate to pass it. Okay, and they basically are talking about a major showdown over the voting rights. The Senate is ready to debate the SAVE Act. Okay, so we'll see how that all goes. But they did say that Florida lawmakers passed the final version of the state SAVE Act or Save America Act a few days ago. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days ago that I read that. So we'll see how it all pans out, beloved. But thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now with that all being said, hold on here. Where am I going? Okay, let me go to my X account really quick to show you all a couple of posts. And we have to be careful with these, especially the people reporting on stuff. I have to be careful because, they're saying this person's dead, that person's dead, and then the other people are saying they're not dead, okay? And then there's just like so much confusion. You understand? You don't know what's being confirmed and what isn't, because it's just like, this is like such a confusion war, like I was saying earlier, because never before have I seen people just lying and just putting fake videos and just statements and all kinds of crazy things going on. And it seems like they have operatives online, bots and all of that stuff, and people that they've paid online, social media people, to add lies and to spew more confusion. Okay? Because remember when I read you all that letter where Macron was supposedly talking to Mushtaba Khamenei, that was not even true. Now, who wrote that long ass letter? It wasn't even true. And I told you all after I read it, I said, wait a minute, is this even true? I said, because we've not heard from that man, and they have said that he's wounded. At one point, they said he was in a coma. So we don't know if that's true or not, because we haven't even seen him publicly. We've not heard from him publicly. So I'm like, did the French president actually even talk to him? And so now I don't even think that's true. Okay. So like I said, all very confusing. Now here is a picture from the funeral of Israelis killed in the Iranian strikes. Here's how I feel about that. Okay.
No more.
Hold on.
Please. Please, Iran, stop. No more war. Please stop. No more. Please. Please, Iran, stop. Please, Iran, stop. No more war. Please stop.
Now let's go to some of the things that they have said. These are the same people that want sympathy from the world now. Okay? Let us remember how the land thief speaks about the landowners. This is what someone posted. There could be 1 million dead Palestinian children, and I would still sleep well in the evening. This is what Tizipi Hatavli, the ambassador of Bibi's people, said. Okay, and this is what she said, and she was the ambassador from 2020 to 2025. Okay, that's what she said. Cruel and heartless, but I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Gaza and its people must be burned. I have no pity for them. Nassim Vaturi. Okay? Water, electricity, and food must be cut off from the Gaza Strip, and those who don't die by bullets will die of hunger. Bezalel Smotrich. That's their finance minister. And let's not even forget how those soldiers who gang raped the Palestinian man and even used a knife, and he had to have surgery. Let's not forget how they got the charges dropped, and then they were deemed as heroes by Satan Yahoo and others. Aharon Haliva says for every Israeli killed, 50 Palestinians must be killed. It doesn't matter if they are children or not. But we're supposed to think that these people are not out there killing civilians, as Trump wants us to think. He wants us to think that it's only the Iranians. And let's not even talk about, these are the flags of terrorism, in my opinion. But let's not even talk about how this woman claims that she's been threatened. This is the lady from Young Turks. Okay? Let me put an overlay on this. Yeah, she's been being threatened on a daily.
And for any Israelis watching this right now, I want you to be clear. I want you to understand this, okay? Because others are very afraid. You know, I get the IDF sending me pictures of their weapons, talking about how they're gonna slaughter me. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you, okay? All the other cowards in American media, they can F off. They're not like me, I'm different. I'm not afraid of you, okay? So while you're cashing checks that are funded by my tax dollars and the tax dollars of my fellow Americans, I need you to understand something clearly. You are hated internationally, hated. Don't be mistaken based on the propaganda you hear in American media. That's not representative of how the American people feel about you. You're hated. And it's not because you're Jewish. It's because you slaughter innocent people. It's because you think you're God's chosen people when you act like absolute demons. That's the reality. The whole international community loathes you. Young American citizens in this country, both left and right, loathe you. And eventually, these are the people who are gonna come into power.
That's what I've been telling you all, beloveds. Trump is doing this all on purpose. Please pay attention, at the behest of Bibi. Okay, I told you all months ago, I've been telling you for months that Trump is basically demolishing the United States, dismantling the United States from the inside out. And these are the people that are going to be running things. Pay attention. They're already really running things if you ask me, but they're going to be absolutely running things. And we'll all be looking like some other people were looking in Germany in 1945. Okay? If there's nothing done to stop this.
So I think Israel's days are numbered as it pertains to America backing its disgusting, loathsome behavior. It's war crimes, it's slaughter of innocent people.
No lies detected. Okay, no lies detected. All right? So with that all being said, Soul Sister says America is falling into 1945 Germany. Yes. And that is exactly my point. That's why I said some people don't even realize the magnitude of what's going on here. Okay? Don't even realize the magnitude of it. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, let's not even forget how Trump has turned our allies against us. So if these people take over, okay, and then turn on the U.S., which, in my opinion, they already have. That's why so many of these politicians have been blackmailed. This was all a diabolical plan, in my opinion. Jeffrey Epstein, the Mossad agent, used his power, money, and connects, and he got the money from Lex Wessler, and basically to blackmail these politicians so they could bring them to heel. You see how strategically that was done? I want y'all to pay attention. Now, with that being said, let's go to this clip of Trump calling this soldier's parents, and they seem like they're so ecstatic, like they don't even seem to be grieving the death of their loved one. Please pay attention. These people are sick.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi, Mr. President. How are you?
Your son is going to get the highest honor that you can have. There's no higher honor than the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Oh, well,
he's going to get it, and Michael is going to be, he's looking down at you right now. And he's saying, well, my mom and dad are handling this pretty well. Right?
I hope so. Thank you so much, President, Mr. President. You have no idea the happiness we have.
Thank you.
I will see you in the White House soon.
Oh, yes! We're going to the White House!
Robert and Linda.
Hi, Mr. President.
Okay, aren't they demented? Did you hear that? We're going to the White House. Sounds so damn stupid. Your child is dead, you dumb Fs. Okay, your child is literally dead and it's Trump's fault, but you're praising him, thrilled to be going to the White House. How sick and demented are you? You're absolutely right, Soul Sister. That's exactly what they are. Nene said she's disgusted. I am too. Okay, I am too. Albie Chill said, brainwashed goofies. Okay, who reacts like that? And I tell you, these cult members are something else. Okay, they are absolutely a case to be studied. Please pay attention. They are absolutely a case to be studied. Now, let's take a look at this, and this is very sad. I just want you all to pay attention. But this is the farewell to a soldier that I have been following on TikTok. Sadly, he has lost his life. His name is Sergeant Benjamin N. Pennington, and I feel so bad. But let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay, so very sad. Prayers and condolences for his family. I sent them a message and they said they were very proud of him, and as they should be. Okay, they're definitely not praising Trump. Okay, that's what they're not doing. So anyway, with that all being said, let's continue. Let's go to this report from Al Jazeera talking about false flag claims on day 17 of the war.
Warns of false flag attacks, accusing the US and Israel of targeting oil refineries in the Gulf. Reports that Iran's security chief Ali Larijani was killed in an Israeli strike, and US allies reject Trump's naval coalition to control the Strait of Hormuz. As the war in Iran unmoors the region and the global economy, the US is finding itself increasingly alone. Here's what you need to know.
We don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them.
از کشورهای دیگه میخوان بیان کمک بکنن بهشون برای اینکه تنگه هرمز فقط بسته است به روی دشمنان ما.
Nobody wants to go actively in this war, and of course everybody is concerned what will be the outcome.
Donald Trump says the future of NATO is in jeopardy if US allies don't send their navies to the Strait of Hormuz. The US president asked 7 countries to join the naval coalition to secure the passage of oil and gas tankers after Iran's IRGC attacked at least 16 tankers, bringing to a halt one of the world's most important waterways. But US allies have hit back, saying simply, we're not joining the war. That includes Europe's biggest military powers, the UK, France, and Germany. Japan and Australia have also said no. South Korea says it's considering its response, and China hasn't responded. Trump's still insisting many countries will join the coalition and that the US doesn't really need the oil from the Gulf anyway. But
Yeah, he tries to downplay the fact, saying the U.S. only needs to uses about 1% of it, okay? But here's the thing. That just goes to show how Trump doesn't even care about the rest of the world. He doesn't care about the U.S. either. But the point is, that's 20% of the world's global oil supply. So the fact that he would jeopardize that, it speaks volumes, okay? And then he wants them, the people that need it, to go over there and fight to get it back, to get the strait back open. But he's the one that put them in that predicament, okay? He thinks that he's not supposed to do anything about it. They're supposed to go over there and risk their soldiers because he wanted to start a stupid war. Like, make it all make sense.
impact is already being felt back home as gas prices shoot up by more than $1 a liter, their highest levels since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. And that increases the price of everything else: food, transportation, and all imported goods. But even if the Strait of Hormuz reopened today, the problem won't be solved. Because apart from the oil tankers that have been targeted by the IRGC, some of the region's most important energy facilities have also been hit. And that has led to Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait closing their production down completely. On Monday, a drone attack set fire to the Shah oil field in Abu Dhabi, forcing the suspension of its operation. But who is behind these attacks? These Gulf countries are blaming Iran, but Iran continues to deny it, saying it's only targeting US military bases in the region, not energy infrastructure. Instead, it says the US and Israel have been secretly attacking these refineries using tactics designed to mimic Iranian drones.
دشمن شکست خورده در میدان نبرد نظامی و در ائتلاف سازی سیاسی علیه ایران به مکر و حیله روی آورده است و با
He basically says that they've hatched a diabolical plot and they're being beaten by Iran. And so this is what they've come up with, okay, to turn everybody in the Gulf against them. Because really, if they don't turn the Gulf against them, they may end up joining at the behest of Iran. And the U.S. and Bibi's people don't want that. But also, you're going to be interested to find out what's really going on with Bibi's people, because I want you all to think about this. So Bibi's people have also been attacking Lebanon, right? So how many of them are actually fighting against Iran? Or is it mostly the U.S. fighting against Iran? Because I heard that Bibi's soldiers, some of them were in underground bunkers partying and having a good old time. And I have the footage. Okay, so let's continue.
یک نقشه شیطانی از پهپاد شاهد 136 ایران کپی سازی کرده و به نام جدید پهپاد لوکاس به اهداف غیر موجه در کشورهای منطقه حمله می‌کند.
The Lucas drone, or low-cost unscrewed combat attack system, is something the U.S. began developing in July 2025. They've been used for the first time in this war as a response to Iran's low-cost Shahed drones.
Lucas, indispensable, as many of you know, and if you don't know, this was an original Iranian drone design. We captured it, pulled the guts out, sent it back to America, put a little Made America on it, brought it back here, and we're shooting it at the Iran.
So I want you to pay attention. He just told on himself. They absolutely are the ones doing these attacks, in my opinion, and they're using drones that mimic Iran's. Okay, he literally just said it. Okay, he literally just said it, and then said they put a "Made in America" on it. Okay, so the Gulf states over there need to wake the hell up. Now, Saudi Arabia should not be fooled because they've already been told that it was, in fact, Bibi's people who blew up that oil refinery days ago, and then they tried to blame it on Iran. So they should know how these people play. Okay?
But are these drones responsible for the attacks on oil refineries? Iran's foreign ministry has even offered to launch a joint investigation with Gulf countries, warning that a far more deadly false flag attack may still come. But the Gulf states have dismissed these claims, putting the blame squarely on Iran.
We have taken a very clear position to stay out of this war, to not be part of this escalation, but Iran has decided to drag us into this escalation.
Meanwhile, Kuwaiti authorities say they've arrested 16 people in connection with a Hezbollah sleeper cell, including 14 Kuwaitis and 2 Lebanese nationals. Police say the group was recruiting members to carry out a sabotage plot inside the country. Iran-aligned groups inside Iraq have stepped up attacks on U.S. sites, including multiple strikes on buildings inside Baghdad's heavily fortified Green Zone. That includes a drone strike on the Royal Tulip Hotel, where a number of diplomatic missions are hosted. That appears to be in response to a U.S.-Israeli attack on the Popular Mobilization Forces militia in Al-Qaim, killing a number of their members. And Israel says it killed Iranian security chief Ali Larijani in an attack targeting a number of other military officials. The former Speaker of Parliament and lead nuclear negotiator was last seen in public on Friday, attending the Al-Quds Day rally alongside Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian. That's it from me today. Stay with us on Al Jazeera for all of your updates in the war.
Okay, it's always better to get your updates on the war from foreign news media. You'll notice that's why I use the Hindustan Times, okay, the Times of India, Al Jazeera, and outlets like that. What you don't want to ever do, if you can help it, is listen to Fox News. The only time I listen to Fox News is if they have someone on there, okay, who's going to be giving some information, like a guest on there that can give some information, like a CIA agent, FBI, or something like that. I may want to hear what they have to say, but I don't care about Fox News. They're only spewing propaganda and lying to make it look like Trump's doing something, and he really isn't. Only thing he's doing is causing grief, chaos, and destruction. Okay, now let's go to this video because they say that the IDF soldiers are absolutely hiding in underground bunkers, partying. Okay, that's what they're doing, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. Now, at some part of this video, when they show them partying in the video, I'm going to mute it, okay, because they're playing music. But I want you all to pay attention because I believe this is absolutely the case. Because for one, the lady from Young Turks just talked about how IDF soldiers were threatening her and how they've been sending her pictures of their guns. Now, if you're actively fighting a war, how in the world do you have time to send text messages or emails or pictures and all this stuff? How do you have time to be posting on social media? Okay, when you're fighting a war. I mean just to harass someone and make threats. How do you have time for any of that? Okay, especially a war that you started. Okay, so let's go to the footage.
Do you guys think we are stupid? Do you think we don't know? Let me explain something to you. I'm a fashion designer. This is my job to create AI videos. Without even a second look, I knew they were AI videos. The first one, the second one, and the third one just come out. I'm not even going to bother with it because they are distracting us from a bigger picture. Do you know what the bigger picture is? Israel is going to collapse if they find out that Netanyahu is dead. America wouldn't have a reason to be in this war if Netanyahu is dead.
Now, that's a fact. Okay, that is a fact. And that's why they're lying. But let's continue.
That's why. That is why they're playing all this rubbish. But let me tell you behind the scenes what is happening. Where do you think are the IDF soldiers right now when your people are going and fighting against Iran?
Partying, living it up, living life like it's golden.
In bunkers, They're partying, they listen to music, and they listen to the DJs, they're drinking and partying. And where are your people? Let me tell you, 5,000 of American soldiers have been deployed.
Donald Trump is sending more American service members to fight the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. 5,000 troops and several additional ships. A U.S. official with knowledge of the matter tells MS Now.
The parachute military has been deployed to go and fight Israel's war while they're hiding in bunkers, while your sons and daughters are dying. How clever are you? Who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for Jesus? If you were fighting for Jesus, and if this was a divine war, the person who was leading this war has killed more than 70,000 people. He's killed kids. Do you think Jesus would have done that? Wake up. It is nothing but stupidity from you guys. You guys are Christians. Act like Christians. I don't want to be rude, but until then, God bless you all.
Okay, he said what he said. And no lies detected. Okay, y'all saw him down there doing karaoke and everything, honey. Living it up. All right? Living it up. I find it all so interesting. And then he says, do you think that Trump has been told that Bibi's dead? I would think so. I would think so, but then you never know because they could not have told him so that his dumb ass keeps on with the war. But here's the thing. He probably more likely than not knows, in my opinion, because I would think that they would be in some sort of communications, updating each other, having some sort of talks. And he hasn't been having those, okay, if Bibi's dead. So he definitely should know. He's probably involved in the cover-up from his neck up, okay? Nice and 10K said U.S. intelligence would figure that out sooner than later. Exactly. Another good point.
A U.S.-owned oil tanker targeted in the Strait of Hormuz, one of several attacked by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. The devastation caused to the vessels, which can hold up to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crude, was clear to see. Since the start of the U.S. and Israel's war with Iran just over 2 weeks ago, 500 tankers have been stuck in the strait, one of the world's most dangerous standoffs. As Iran intensifies its attacks on its Gulf neighbors, this strike on a fuel tank at Dubai's airport saw flights suspended at one of the world's busiest transport hubs. And this major hit on a large oil storage facility in the UAE's Fujairah saw it burn out of control. Qatar also hasn't been spared, showing Tehran's determination to target global energy.
Dr. Majid, good to see you again.
We met Majid al-Ansari, the advisor to the Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Ministry spokesman in Doha.
Will Qatar attack Iran?
If it is war that the other party wants, if we have attacks coming into our country, we will defend ourselves.
But today, Iran is also paying a price. According to the White House, U.S. and Israeli strikes have hit more than 15,000 targets across the country.
Well, not far from where we are tonight on the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. forces targeted Iran's Karg Island this weekend, where 90% of Iranian oil passes through. The message from the White House is clear. The U.S. can and will devastate Iran's energy lifeline if it has to. Tony.
MTS, thank you very much. A U.S.-owned oil tanker targeted.
Okay, so what do y'all think about that? Now let's go, and I'll tell you another media source that gives good information, and that would be PBS as well as Democracy Now! Okay? PBS and Democracy Now! Are good as well.
This is coming as the president announces that more troops and more warships are going to the region as well. What do we know about that?
It strikes me that the administration is escalating again and again and again in a way that also threatens the United States. As Nancy was talking, I was thinking about that. If you're striking the Persian Gulf, if you're raising more uncertainty about oil supplies, Iranian oil tankers are among the few that are getting through the Persian Gulf right now. What you effectively do is raise the price of oil and put further burden on the U.S. economy. Now, you are correct that the military appears to be moving another Marine Expeditionary Unit to the Gulf. I've traveled with them in the past. It's a couple thousand or more U.S. Marines, along with helicopters and airplanes and ships and a lot of equipment. They're extremely powerful, but a couple thousand Marines is not very many in the context of a country like Iran. This is something you could imagine sending them to take over an island in the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know what the objective is or if one has even been ordered, but the president is clearly comfortable escalating in a way that entails greater risk for Iran, but also greater risk for the United States and the world.
Right, because in my opinion, 2,500 soldiers sent to Iran and that huge, vast territory, that's really not going to help. Okay. Didn't I just read to you all the other day where they said that 10,000, even 100,000 sent to Iran? That's still going to be a whole fool's mission. Okay. Led by a whole fool by the name of Trump, aka Agent Orange. Okay. But let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Moving on, here's a few things you should know. Iran released this message for Trump. The outcome of the war cannot be determined by tweets. It's determined on the battlefield, the very place you and your forces do not dare approach. It's better to name this war Epic Fear instead of Epic Fury. Taiwan's Ministry of Defense reported detecting 26 Chinese military aircraft and 7 naval vessels operating around the island. Officials in Cuba have reported an island-wide blackout across the country as the nation's electric grid collapses, leaving millions without power. Trump said this: "I will be having the honor of taking Cuba, whether I free it, take it. I think I can do anything I want with it." Here's a photo of Dubai's International Airport fuel storage area after being struck by Iranian drones. Here's a photo of a Thai cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran also said this, quote, "We have conveyed to those who threaten us with a nuclear attack that we will respond with whatever we are threatened with." The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was struck by Iranian drones. Iraq is claiming that Pakistan airstruck a rehab hospital killing 200 and injuring at least 170. Pakistan has denied these claims and have said they only target military sites. U.S. allies in the EU and NATO denied Trump in assisting in the Iran war to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Stay safe.
He sounds diabolical, doesn't he? Okay, he gave some very good updates, but he sounds very nefarious. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about the Pakistan conflict, where they say that they targeted the hospital with an airstrike that left over 400 people possibly dead, okay, in Kabul, Afghanistan. Rescuers recovered more bodies from the rubble of a drug rehabilitation hospital in Kabul on Tuesday after officials said an overnight airstrike killed more than 400 people in a dramatic escalation of a conflict between Pakistan and Afghanistan. This is now in its 3rd week. Pakistan rejected Afghanistan's accusation that it targeted the hospital, insisting its strikes were also conducted in eastern Afghanistan on Monday, okay, where they were aimed at military facilities. It dismissed Afghanistan's claims of hundreds of casualties as pure propaganda. Now, the casualties were taken to several hospitals in the area where crowds gathered to search for their loved ones among the injured and dead. It wasn't possible to independently confirm the death toll. The conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan has seen repeated cross-border clashes as well as airstrikes inside of Afghanistan. International calls for a ceasefire have gone unheeded. Okay, so more drama unfolding as the days go by, beloveds. Now, with that all being said, we're going to talk about ICE in just a moment. Because when I tell you, they're still just as nefarious as ever. Okay? People are still dying in ICE custody with strange, excuses being made and the people being victimized or demonized after they're dead. Okay, please pay attention.
Learning more about the Americans who've been killed in the Middle East during Operation Epic Fury. 13 American soldiers are dead, among them 3 assigned to the 6th Air Refueling Wing that crashed in Iraq. 33-year-old Major John Klinner, 31-year-old Captain Ariana Savino, and Technical Sergeant 34-year-old Ashley Pruitt, as well as 3 members of the Ohio National Guard, 38-year-old Seth Koval, 30-year-old Captain Curtis Angst, 28-year-old Technical Sergeant Tyler Simmons, whose loved ones shared this about him.
He was a leader, and he wanted to go to the Air Force to make a difference.
His smile literally can light up an entire room. And the one thing about Tyler, whenever he laughs, you was going to feel it.
He loved to do whatever that was fun, whether it was with his friends, with his family. He was just a good guy all around.
We are learning more about Alex Klinner as well, a GoFundMe to help support his family, already raising $1.2 million. The GoFundMe describing Alex as a devoted husband, a loving father, the kind of person who stepped in when anyone needed help. He leaves behind a wife and 3 young children. Tonight, we are remembering these 13 fallen service members, their families in our thoughts, in our prayers tonight. We'll be right back.
That is just so darn sad to hear, okay? That man was 34 years old. He was so young. And then the father of 3, and his children were young. The 2 youngest one will probably barely remember him. That is absolutely awful, okay? That is absolutely awful. But let's continue because, yes, Cuba, they're having a national electrical grid issue, and they're in darkness, okay? And I told you all days ago that it was probably not going to be very long, or just a few days before they completely run out of energy. And it's really sad. And Trump's sitting here talking about how he can go over there and take over, and then talking about he doesn't know whether he's going to free them or not, but he can do whatever he wants. That's what he said. This man is a whole devil. He doesn't have a problem starving those people out, okay, denying them any assistance or whatever. The entire national power system, known as the SEN, failed, leaving roughly 10 to 11 million people without electricity. The collapse was driven by critical fuel shortages and crippled thermoelectric plants. The government reported not receiving oil shipments in over 3 months. This has exasperated the country, or exasperated them. Now, and this is all caused by U.S. imposed blockade. Okay, by a U.S. imposed blockade. Don't say U.S., just say Trump. Okay, now, this followed months of 10 to 20-hour daily blackouts and a previous major outage earlier in March. So they say while officials began working to restore the power, the aging infrastructure led to recurring issues, bringing the grid down again even after initial efforts. The crisis has severely impacted daily life, forcing the postponement of surgeries, closing schools, and causing widespread protests. It's all so sad. Okay? This is all extremely sad. And you know, these are the people that I have sympathy for. I don't have any sympathy for Bibi's people, because Bibi's people have, caused this unnecessary war with Trump. Okay? They've plotted for this unnecessary war, and many people are going to die because of it. Not to mention what they've done over there in Gaza. Okay, and so anyway, with that all being said, now let's talk about ICE, because did you all know that ICE killed a veteran? Yeah, they did, and then lied about this man, basically, or tried to paint him as a criminal by not telling the whole story. They talked about he was arrested for fraud. Well, he was, but the charges were dismissed. Okay, that's not what they're going to tell you. Okay, that's not what they're going to tell you. So let's go to this. Well, before we go to the clip, I'm going to read this to you. And this is what ICE posted on their website. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see how low down these devils are. And they're nothing short of the Gestapo. Okay, that's what they are. So let's get into it. Now, this was reported 2 days ago. Mohammed Nazir Paktiawal, 41 years old, a criminal illegal alien is what they called him, a criminal illegal alien from Afghanistan, passed away March 14th at the Parkland Hospital in Dallas, Texas. A physician at the hospital declared Paktiawal deceased at 9:10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. He had been in ICE custody for 1 day. His passing is currently under active investigation. Oh, I'll bet it is. Paktiawal has a known criminal history, including an arrest by local authorities for SNAP fraud, a felony, on September the 16th of 2025. He was arrested a second time for theft on November the 1st of 2025. ICE arrested Pakatawal March 13th during a targeted enforcement action and placed him into immigration proceedings. At the time of his arrest and processing, he did not report any prior medical history. In the late evening of March 13th, ICE contacted emergency medical services when Pakatawal began complaining of shortness of breath and chest pains while in an ICE Dallas field office processing hold room. Now, he was immediately transported to Parkland Hospital and received breathing treatment. They're lying. He wasn't immediately transferred. Okay, they took their time. All right, the ER doctor recommended that he remain in the hospital for observation. Early March 14th, Pakatawal was eating breakfast when medical staff noted that his tongue had become swollen, prompting a medical response. After multiple life-saving efforts were attempted, he was declared deceased at 9:10 a.m. ICE notified his next of kin and the consulate of Afghanistan in Toronto, Canada, of Pakatawal's death on March the 14th. Pakatawal entered the United States at Washington Dulles International Airport, Maryland, August 21st of 2021, and was paroled into the U.S. by an immigration officer. The duration of his parole expired August the 20th of 2025. Consistent with ICE policy, ERO notified the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the DHS Office of Inspector General, and the ICE Office of Professional Responsibility via the Integrity Coordination Center. ERO will coordinate appropriate consular notifications in accordance with international and domestic laws and will make efforts to notify Pakatawal's next of kin or other designated contact. Okay, I don't need to read the rest of this. At the end of the day, this man's dead because of ICE. They can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, they did not take that man to the hospital right away, okay? So with that all being said, let's go to this report where his family talks about him on CBS. Family says former U.S. military ally dies in ICE custody. This man was fighting with this country, okay, in Afghanistan. I want y'all to pay attention. And then they just let him die, rather. I'm not going to say they killed him, but they probably did, in my opinion.
I want justice. I want justice for this little man. I want justice for him. I want justice for his wife, for his other 4 kids. He was a hero. He was a hero to his family, to his people, and to this country.
Nasir Pakatawal says his brother, Mohammed Nazir Pakatawal, was taken into custody by ICE on Friday to this processing facility in Dallas. 24 hours later, the family got a call. Pakatawal was dead.
Mohammed Nazir Pakatawal, who was a person who was fully vetted before he was evacuated by U.S. military into this country.
But ICE tells CBS News in a statement, Pakatawal was here illegally as of last August, and that he had been arrested for SNAP fraud and theft. The statement says he was taken into custody as part of a targeted enforcement action, but then was transported to Parkland Hospital after complaining of chest pains and shortness of breath. ICE goes on to say the next morning while eating breakfast, Parkland staff noticed he had a swollen tongue and then started life-saving treatment. But at 9:10 a.m., he was pronounced dead. The 41-year-old leaves behind a void in his community, a wife, and 6 children, including a 12-year-old son.
I just want my dad back, and I don't know why did he die.
All I want justice for my brother. I don't need anything else from this government.
A darn shame. Such a darn shame. I want y'all to pay attention. This is how low down they are. Okay, so let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Yeah, that's right, Robert, because he looks like an Arab. Exactly.
Whatever name the ICE agency giving him, he's not that guy. He was a hero.
ICE arrested Mohammed Nazir Pakatawal Friday morning. Saturday morning, a doctor pronounced him dead. I just spoke with his brother. Here's what he says happened.
And that person is gone forever. Forever. And I'm never going to receive that calling in from him.
He says ICE agents showed up at his brother's apartment in Richardson, Texas on Friday morning as he prepared to drive his kids to school. He says he was detained in front of his children. His brother says within hours of Paktiwal's arrival at a Dallas ICE facility, he became worried about his brother's health.
He's like, I'm feeling worse and worse. I'm sweating. I'm still having a hard time breathing. I still have pain in my whole body.
He says he even called for an ambulance to go to the facility to check on him. Hours later, when he spoke with his brother, he says that his brother said he had still not received medical attention. ICE says overnight Friday night, when Paktiwal began complaining of shortness of breath and chest pains, he was brought to Parkland Hospital immediately. He received breathing treatment there, and a doctor recommended he stay for observation. But then the next morning, as he was eating breakfast, medical staff noticed his tongue had become swollen. ICE says they provided immediate medical attention, but he was pronounced dead around 9:10 a.m., only about 24 hours after entering ICE custody. ICE says Paktiwal was an illegal criminal alien from Afghanistan. His brother says he served alongside American special forces there and was actually brought to this country as U.S. troops left Afghanistan. ICE says Paktiwal did not give them information about his military service, and they say he had prior criminal arrests for SNAP fraud and for theft. Paktiwal's brother says he's speaking out because he wants accountability and justice, so something like this doesn't happen to another family.
To another foreigner family who trusted this country, this government, for his life, for the life of his children. Whatever name the ICE agency giving him.
Listen, beloveds, I want you all to pay attention to something, okay? I want you all to pay attention to something. Now, I don't know this for a fact. FBA Insight Channel says sounds like an allergic reaction. Yeah, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was, in my opinion. But let me tell you all what they did to him. Okay, this man had no prior medical history. ICE tried to make the excuse that, oh, he didn't tell us he was in the military or whatever. He shouldn't have to. He's a human being, and he likely did tell them. Okay, that would have been one of the first things that I would have told them, that I helped the U.S. Hey, listen, I helped you guys fight the Afghan war. Okay? But they say he didn't tell them that. I don't believe them. But let me just tell you all something. See, when I heard this story, I said, that man died from some sort of allergic reaction. And so I said, it sounds like a person who dies from shellfish. It sounds like a person who dies from shellfish toxins. And guess what? So I looked it up on ChatGPT, and I'm going to go to what I showed, to what I found. Because I wanted to get to the bottom of it, because I knew that that man didn't just have his tongue swell up, all of a sudden start having difficulty breathing. Okay, within just less than 24 hours, he's dead. I didn't believe it, because this man supposedly had no medical history. So let's talk about it. And here's what I found. So I went to ChatGPT and I typed in, can a person be injected with shellfish? Now, I did this for you all's benefit because, yes, we know that they can, because that's what the CIA has done allegedly in the past. Okay, so here's the thing. A person can be injected with substances derived from or related to shellfish in specific medical context, although direct injection of raw shellfish is not a standard or safe practice. Yeah, you only do it if you want to kill somebody. Okay? Now, they have allergy testing and all of that. We're going to skip past all of that to see if the person's allergic or whatever. But here's the thing. Okay, injecting shellfish proteins is into an allergic individual can trigger anaphylaxis, a life-threatening reaction. This requires immediate treatment, okay, with an epinephrine injection. Now, an epinephrine injection. I think I said that right. Now, so with that all being said, let's go to this. What symptoms would they have? This is what I typed in. If a person were injected with shellfish protein, such as during a medical allergy test or an accidental exposure, the symptoms would vary based on their sensitivity and amount injected. Okay, so during a skin prick test, okay, we're going to skip past all that. So they would have swelling of the throat and tongue or airway and difficulty breathing, wheezing, or persistent cough. Didn't they say that's what the man had? Didn't they say that's the symptoms that he had? That his tongue swelled up and he was complaining of difficulty breathing the night before? A rapid drop in blood pressure, weak or rapid pulse, dizziness, lightheaded, or fainting. Okay? So I absolutely believe that's what happened to this man. Okay? I believe that's absolutely what happened to him. I think they injected him with something. Now, I could be just reaching, but hey, after seeing ICE murder an innocent VA nurse on the streets by shooting him 10 times and murdering an innocent woman and lying on her, saying she tried to run over them and shooting her in her face 3 times? Yeah, I don't put anything past them. So whenever I hear of somebody dying in ICE's custody, I'm going to be very suspicious and I'm going to try to look to find answers. But hold on. Another reason I was very suspicious is because, I forgot to tell you, on March the 6th, there was another person who died just days before in ICE custody. And this person was Haitian. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. These people are nefarious.
Family is now mourning after their member died in ICE custody on Monday. The Haitian immigrant was detained back in September and died weeks after complaining about a toothache while in custody. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says they delivered life-saving efforts. But tonight, his family shared their doubts with our NBC 10's Jericho Tran. Jericho, I know this was a tough conversation you had with the family. What did they tell you?
Priscilla, this was a heartbreaking conversation. The family of Emmanuel Clifford Demas says their world has been turned upside down. I want you to take a look at this final picture of Emmanuel, intubated, unresponsive, and unable to wake up just weeks after complaining about a toothache. A toothache. One of the 2 hospitals Emmanuel was taken to says he developed septic shock, likely from pneumonia. What you don't see in this picture, though, is Emmanuel's mother, who stood inches away as she watched her son die. I will never forget you. In Creole, the mother of Emmanuel Clifford Demas shared her final message to her son days after his death.
He suffered a whole lot before he passed.
This is Demas shortly before he died on Monday at a hospital in Scottsdale, Arizona. ICE says he was taken there after complaints about shortness of breath. But his family believes that shortness of breath was the result of an infection from a toothache, which he complained about 6 days before being hospitalized. They say Demas told them about the toothache. He also told them he was only given over-the-counter pain relievers.
They gave him Tylenol or ibuprofen instead of taking him to a dentist to be seen where they can extract the tooth and give him some antibiotics. They didn't do that.
NBC 10 reached out to ICE and DHS to learn more about Demas's hospitalization. They provided a list of medical issues, but it did not include the toothache, which his family says he complained about. Demas's medical screening upon his arrival in September did not reveal any serious medical issues. He was admitted to the hospital in February. The family tells us the hospital informed them he was being then treated for pneumonia.
Come to find out, he had pneumonia. They were gonna do 2 surgery on his lungs, and the abscess tried to clear the infection. A toothache.
Demas's family says before his hospitalization, he called them from the Florence Detention Center in Arizona several times a day.
He is the type of person, Emmanuel, he will call like 5 times, 6 times a day. And what we do, we put money in his account where he was able to talk.
Demas was arrested for an assault and battery charge on September 14th. While waiting at the Nashua Street jail, Demas was taken into ICE custody. His twin brothers say Demas came to America back in 2024 to be with his 2 children, and that his application for asylum was denied while he was in ICE custody.
Even before the whole thing happened, he was technically eligible for TPS, temporary protected status.
I provided Demas's family with a detailed list of medical care DHS says they provided for the 56-year-old, but they do not believe these records, which make no mention of a toothache, explain how and why Demas died.
Lots of cover-up. Lots of cover-up. This is nonsense.
And as of now, an official cause of death has not been determined. Damas's family says they are requesting their own autopsy. ICE denies Damas was refused emergency medical care, saying they are, quote, committed to ensuring that all those in custody reside in safe, secure, and humane environments.
BS, total BS in my opinion. Okay, total BS. And by the way, let me just say this. I just Googled this just to further reiterate what I said about the other man who died in ICE custody. I typed in, why would a healthy person die suddenly of a swollen tongue, chest pains, and difficulty breathing? And I want you to hear what the answer is. A healthy person experiencing a swollen tongue, chest pain, and difficulty breathing likely died from sudden airway obstruction and cardiovascular collapse, most commonly caused by anaphylaxis, severe allergic reaction, or a rapid fatal arrhythmia. These symptoms indicate an extreme emergency where the immune system shuts down breathing and circulation simultaneously. Okay? Yeah, I absolutely think they injected him with something. Right? And the black man that died, they likely, or the Haitian, they likely injected him with something too, in my opinion. Okay? Buckhorse DC says Michael Jackson said it best. They don't care about us. Remember the king, y'all. All right? How could we forget? Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. Albie Chill says, maybe this will also have the world look into these private prisons where our brothers and sisters are being unalived as well. Well, sadly, beloved, they don't really care about us, okay? They really don't. And I don't think that we'll get any answers. I don't think any of these things will stop as far as how they treat people in prison. Just my opinion. Now, let's go to this video where Trump says something will happen with Cuba pretty quickly. Okay, that's what he says. And then after that, we're out of here. Make sure you stay tuned because I will be back later, as I told you, for part 2, so we can talk about these reptilians and the other nefariousness going on, how they're out here worshiping Baal, and just people are into all nefariousness, and the Epstein
All right,
files,
another
of
news
course.
this morning.
Okay, and the Epstein files, of course.
All right, in other news this morning, President Donald Trump spoke yesterday about the ongoing negotiations with the Cuban government while traveling to Washington, D.C. on Air Force One. He made clear that talks are underway, but Iran remains the focus for now. Take a listen.
Cuba is right now a failed nation, and they don't even have jet fuel to get for airplanes to take off. They're clogging up their runway. But we're talking to Cuba right now. I have Marco Rubio talking to Cuba right now. And they should absolutely make a deal because it's truly a humanitarian threat. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, and they're going to be very happy when they're going to be able to go back and say hello to their relatives and do things that they should have been allowed to do for a long time. I'm very interested in the people that are here that were treated so badly by Castro and the Cuban authorities.
Well, his remarks come after Cuban leader Miguel Diaz-Canel confirmed that the communist regime is holding talks with the United States this past Friday. Meantime, tensions in Cuba continue to rise amid the ongoing energy crisis worsened by the U.S. oil blockade. Over the weekend, Cubans took to the street there to protest their government amid the ongoing economic crisis and the blackouts right there in the country. The frustrations were also felt miles away right here at home in South Florida. Local Cuban community members gathered in Little Havana to protest in solidarity. This all comes after Cuba confirmed Friday that talks have taken place with the United States to try and defuse the crisis. Well, our local lawmakers are also weighing in on the situation as they call for freedom against the communist regime, including Congressman Carlos Diaz-Balart as well, a number of senators as well. Of course, you can
here's where I forgot I was muted, you guys. Okay, so Mario Diaz-Balart says the regime has blood on its hands. When Cubans take to the streets to, I don't know what that is because it's covered up, or and responds by firing on its own people. Okay, then Rick Scott says, after decades of oppression, the people of Cuba are standing up, freedom, and against the evil communist Cuban regime. A day of freedom and democracy for the Cuban people is a good day, is good America for America and the world. Okay, Representative Maria Elvira Salazar says, Cuba is in total collapse. After decades of repression and socialist disaster, the dictatorship is finally cracking under its own weight. Across the island, Cubans are standing up and demanding what the regime has denied them for generations, freedom. America stands with Cuban people as they fight to reclaim their country. With that all being said, Trump's not standing with his people. Trump just wants control. Okay, that's all he wants. And they're going to find themselves in the same position or even worse, okay, with Trump at the wheel. Please pay attention.
Senators as well. Of course, you can stick with us here at NBC6 on air and online for the very latest coming.
All right, so with that all being said, listen, Robert said Fidel Castro is truly missed, okay? Leon said he knows nothing about humanity. Absolutely not. He absolutely does not, beloved. Okay, at the end of the day. Okay, so with that all being said, and listen, as this war rages on, they're going to start looking for Trump. They've already warned him. Okay, they've already told him to basically be quiet before he gets the business, and this is where he'll be. All right, please pay attention. So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget about the next broadcast. I love you all to life. I will continue to keep you updated on the war as it rages on, unfortunately. But tonight, later, we're going to be talking about the Epstein files. Okay, I've been doing my research on it, and we're going to talk about these nefarious politicians, these people that are likely not even human, okay, whole reptilians, according to some, who claim to have witnessed them shape-shifting. Okay, so with that all being said, please pay attention. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And also, if you didn't see the broadcast last night, be sure to watch it before part 2 tonight. All right, so I will talk to you all again soon. Peace. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Why did this thing do this? Okay, you guys, I'm just going to close out the broadcast. I can't play the song because sadly, it's disappeared. My little toggle thing has disappeared. So anyway, we're out. I love you all, and I'll see you all later. Peace.